Welcome to the Alternative Acoustic Podcast. I'm Chris of the Chris Woods Groove Orchestra, and this podcast is brought to you by Ibanez UK. So what can I say? This is our first episode, our first of many inspiring conversations with inspiring artists. The whole idea behind this podcast is to have conversations with real acoustic artists, acoustic guitarists who really play things their own way. And I promise in every conversation to do my best to bring you the elements that make these players so inspirational and interesting to listen to. Now, our first episode is a conversation with Jon Gomm, and I couldn't imagine a better guest to start this podcast off with, because he is truly unique in his approach to playing guitar, and I think it's fair to say has had a profound effect on the sound of acoustic guitar, as well as in technical ways of playing. But I think for me personally anyway, Jon is a real inspiration in the sonic element of acoustic guitar. I know you're going to enjoy listening to this conversation because, well, Jon is great to chat to. It's probably an hour of just enjoyable chat, but also there's a lot of really fantastic information here that Jon gives on the ways that he approaches acoustic guitar that I think for any guitarist of any ability, of any style, will really get something from. Now, before we get stuck into the conversation, this podcast is obviously at the very beginning of its journey. And even though there's a whole host of episodes already recorded and we've got fantastic guests lined up, in all honesty, we need your support to spread the word, and also your support in making it possible for us to let you know when new episodes are released. So please join our mailing list. If you head to chriswoodsgroove.co.uk/ the Alternative Acoustic Podcast, you'll find a mailing list that you can join. Now, by being part of that mailing list between now and December, we're going to put all of those emails into a hat, and one lucky person is going to win an absolutely stunning Ibanez acoustic. So please make sure you go and do that. And if you enjoy listening to this episode, please give us a rating on whatever platform it is that you're listening, and share it with your friends, and generally spread the word. Thanks for listening. To make the musician listeners feel at home. But okay. we have begun. So, well, actually, we were sort of naturally chatting about the being away thing. And even though obviously we're going to talk about guitar majoritively, I think that's a really interesting thing to start talking about, especially with yourself.
Did you say we're going to talk about a guitar pejoratively? Like we're just going to insult it?
No.
Guitars, they're such dicks, aren't they?
I'm not even...
Oh, man.
John, I'm not
they're
even...
phallic as well. I'm not even trying to hide what dicks they are.
I'm not even sure of what the word pejoratively means anyway, so...
Pejorative is insult. I'm not sure that's what you said, though.
No, I don't think so. Sometimes I do like to throw out words that I don't really understand, though, and then just test the water with them.
I think that's a good way to do it. But you're in the wrong company, because I'm both... I have a large vocabulary, and I am a pedant as well. So,
a pedant.
Yeah, I'm pedantic.
Ah, right, good. Well, this is what I enjoy about podcasts, is the learning element of them. But yeah, we are going to talk about guitar and technique and stuff. But I think it's quite interesting to where we were started to loosely chat about like being away from home and touring and such like, because from my observation of Jon Gomm, it's that you obviously tour now, but also previously maybe more of that sort of relentless driving round and gig, right? Is that
so
true?
Back in the old days, I think I did probably more schlepping around, and you probably were more aware of it because it would have been mostly in this country as well. So, so I really built it up from just starting out playing local gigs in my town and then gradually increasing my radius of travel to kind of the north of England and then around the country, and would be driving myself everywhere. I would take my own PA system places quite often. So I wasn't really restricted by, if somebody wants to book me for a gig, but they don't have any sound, they don't have a sound system, which sounds weird. Like, why would a place that doesn't have a sound system be trying to book gigs? But sometimes they're the best ones. And there's an old fashioned thing in the English British entertainment world on the grassroots where you would be described as a self-contained act. And a self-contained act would be an act who goes into the working men's club or wherever and has their own PA system, so they don't need the local sound system. But also, crucially, they don't need the local band. They don't need the house band. So you don't get up on stage and play with the organist, I could say organist because it's a keyboard, but it would be an analog organ thing with bass pedals, and the drummer, because every working men's club would have a house band or at the very least an organist and a drummer. So when you're self-contained, you have your own PA. You don't need anybody else, basically. So I was a self-contained act. And so I did that a lot. And then as things have kind of progressed, both kind of naturally and logically and smoothly and completely irrationally and confusingly and crazily, that becomes less of a thing. So I'm not going to take my own PA system and turn up to random places that invited me in China. I want to do an organised tour there because otherwise I'm screwed. Really, I'll just be, lost. So yeah, that's changed as time's gone on. Yeah.
But how do you find that from a living and life and feeling perspective, that sort of change in travelling and go on?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really need to be on my own a lot. So I find social interaction, and I'm not talking, it's always worrying when you say that and you're talking to somebody because then they start to get paranoid, but this is fine.
Just fine.
I find social interaction hard because so the modern interpretation of that, which is useful, is that I'm neurodivergent. A lot of people are. And just means that I often, as you can hear right now, struggle, when it's important and it really matters, I struggle to find the words because I don't know how to communicate things that naturally in that way. So it's really hard to describe. I spent a lot of my life apologizing. This is a fact. From when I was a little kid, for upsetting people. Because I'll be very blunt and say things that you're not really supposed to say. Or I will say the first thing that comes into my head without filter. And it can be really socially unacceptable to do that for good reasons a lot of the time. And yeah, so my social batteries tend to run out pretty quick. So touring is kind of perfect for me in a way. Because I just get to do all of that social interaction, not all of it, but a lot of that social interaction is artificially weighted in my favour. So I'm on a stage with a microphone, I win, that's fine. Or I'm meeting fans after the gig who probably already decided that they love me before they speak to me. It's just like, do you know what I mean? It's cheating. And then a lot of the rest of the time I'll just be on my own travelling or in a hotel room or whatever. So it suits me in a lot of ways. But then also I do need social interaction the same as anybody else. So I do miss my family and my friends and stuff back home for sure. So yeah, that's how it affects me really. It's not perfect for sure, but it does suit me in some ways. Yeah.
So a bit of a mixed bag, essentially, as an experience.
I would say so. I think that's true for most people that I know, yeah.
And what about, so you're talking about the needing time on your own, is that still, do you think that's been helpful in driving an insane amount of time on playing guitar? So yeah, that's
absolutely, yeah.
Just because it's the joy of sitting there and playing and being alone.
I think for solo artists, it draws a lot of people who tend to be like that. So for me, when I was a kid, the guitar was a place of refuge, really. So it was a place where I could express my emotions in a way that's different to verbal expression. And it was a place that I could hide as well. So it gave me an excuse not to be doing something else. People use video games in the exact same way, I think. And yeah, so I would even take my guitar into school so that I could practice at school. But quite often I would practice usually on an electric guitar, unplugged, in a room, maybe with other people, like in the classroom where there's other kids. You know, not during a lesson, but at other times. So I don't have to interact in the same way. I've got this constant other distraction, which really, really helped me. So, yeah. And it's also why I play solo, because when I work with other musicians, it can often go badly.
Creative differences.
You could kind of say creative differences in that I can't tolerate any creative difference.
Okay.
And that sucks. You know, it's not some kind of... It's often through your history, you hear people talked about, and it's like, yeah, he was really stuck to his beliefs as if it's some kind of noble thing. But often it's just people being intransigent or inflexible, which is what I am in that way. And it's not because I have some incredibly strong vision. It's just because I don't want anybody else. You know, the same way that you wouldn't want somebody, you know, if you're at a restaurant and the waiter comes over and he's got his thumb in the soup, right? His thumb is in the soup, right? It's not even clean. You can see he's a dirty man. Right? He puts your soup down in front of you and enjoy. And it's like, you're not eating that soup, right? Yeah. You're not eating it. That's gross. So to me, like having anybody else involved in writing music with me is like that. It feels gross and icky, and why? It's wrong. You know?
That's interesting, man. I think from my experience of working with other musicians was very much especially from the sort of virtuosic guitar way of thinking, where I would write quite complicated parts and pass them to those musicians, and then realise that even the greatest, finest musicians in the land that I could find wouldn't play it in exactly the way that I would want it to be done, even if they're playing it to the note. And that's that sort of... I don't know. I don't want to put this on your good self, but it's like it's a control thing, right? Isn't it? You can, when it's yourself, you can do it exactly as you want it to be done. But when it's someone else, it's just not possible. No one can play it.
No, for me, it's not about control as such, because I think everybody else's music's better than mine. So why wouldn't I want that? You know, not everybody. But there's loads of people that I would love to work with. There's loads of people that I would love to work with. For me, it's more the social thing, and it's more like, what's the word? Like just a reflex. It's just a reflexive thing. It's a reflexive social issue, you know? So yeah. Anyway, it's hard to explain, but I'm just a bit fucked up, you know? That's okay. And when I do work with other people now, I always, when that happens, which is rare, but when it does happen, I always want to choose somebody whose work I love, and I just want them to express themselves. I want them, which is what normal people do, and it's much healthier. But for me, it's pretty weird, and because then, is it me afterwards, you know, or is it them? But that's not something that most people worry about in that way. So, I don't know.
The Alternative Acoustic Podcast is proudly supported by Ibanez UK. Now, the Ibanez V Series has long stood for high quality at seriously affordable prices, available in all kinds of finishes, shapes and sizes. Now, I got to try all of them out recently, and a particular favourite of mine was the incredible Mini, which is the perfect travel size guitar. I mean, it sounds way bigger than it looks. The entire V Series and all Ibanez guitars are available now at Gear for Music, so make sure you go and check them out. Do you think playing all the parts at once is kind of does that sometimes then feel like a bit of a necessity, maybe? Do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't say that at all. I mean, I know loads of acoustic performers, acoustic guitarists who don't do that, and they just play regular guitar, and still, like, I love PJ Harvey, and she obviously plays mostly with a band, but she writes very simple guitar parts in terms of how much is going on with her fingers or whatever, but they're awesome, and they're huge hooks, and they're massive riffs, and they sound incredible. And Stephen Wilson Jr., literally never heard of him until yesterday, and I saw him. Have you heard of that guy? It's kind of like a bit kind of grungy Americana guy, but he's a contemporary artist, and a friend of mine just actually a fan who's become a friend, really, who's come to loads of my gigs over the years and always introduces me to new stuff, some of which I like and some of which I don't like as much. But this was really cool, and I saw a video of him playing Something in the Way by Nirvana, a cover, just with nylon string guitar and voice. But he was running a nylon string guitar through an overdrive pedal or a dirty amp or whatever, with absolutely loads of reverb on it as well, quite filthy reverb. And he had a really cool riff that wasn't the original riff that he'd come up with. It didn't look, super difficult to play, I wouldn't say. And it was in a weird tuning as well. And what was he in? I think from watching it, he was in like open D but down. So like not traditional open C, but like if you imagine open D tuning, so D A D F sharp A D, but down a step, so it becomes in the key of C. So I'm pretty sure he was there. And it's just sounded immense, but he's not playing drums on the guitar or trying to play lots of things at the same time. For me, that's the other side of it, which is like, I like making complicated things. So there's the other side of guitar playing. So Kaki King, who I love, she described it as being playing guitar or learning to play guitar as being like a video game that you can never complete. And I think that's really cool. And I'm not a gamer, but the thing of getting better and better and better, or just upping your stats and getting better, I don't know, numbers or weapons or whatever for your character, that kind of thing. It's like that with guitar. You could just keep finding new stuff, and it's endless. Music is endless. It's all of humanity. So there's styles of music that I would love to learn. If I had a million lifetimes, I would just learn to play, Indian classical music or Balkan folk music or all these different styles from throughout history. I'd learn to play them. Although I would, Chris, I don't know how you feel about this, but even if I was learning all those things, I would learn them all on the steel string acoustic guitar because it's the best instrument. But I don't know how you feel about
for sure, man, for sure. I think in conversations in like music education stuff where piano is king, it just doesn't make any sense to me why that is, because there's so much limited to the parameters of playing a note. Do you know what I mean? On, off, and volume in this sort of spectrum.
Do you know why that is, Chris? Because a piano is not a musical instrument. Do you know what it is? It's a machine.
It's a machine.
It's a machine. No, but it is.
For sure,
it's a machine. You don't play the note. You push a button and it plays the note. It's a mechanical device. So, yeah, it is really limited in that way. But obviously, it's really easy to play, easier than any other instrument, because you don't have to learn how to create sound. You just push a button and it does it. Anybody can, like cats, famously.
Absolutely.
Play the piano with varying degrees of success.
Absolutely. So, and that is genuinely why the guitar is so interesting, isn't it? And so the idea of this podcast was conversations with people around the acoustic guitar, because everyone has such a, I don't want to sound too cliche, but everyone has such a unique voice. Everyone plays notes in such a different and unique way that's special to the person and approach. More so than the electric, I think, as well. I think there's some.
I don't know. I think it's electric guitar. I think you can be more kind of expressive with a single note, because you can do lots of vibrato and sustain. And that you can add more dynamics into it. But you can't do all the other stuff at the same time. And so you're expressing that, but you're relying on other people to create the kind of landscape around you while you do it. Otherwise, what you do doesn't make any sense. Whereas with acoustic guitar, you can do all of that. So yeah, there's definitely little trade-offs. The only sound an acoustic guitar can't do is a swell, like a note that increases in volume.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing you can't do. You can't play a note and then have it get louder. With an electric guitar, you can, because you can cheat with your volume control or whatever. And with a violin or a wind or brass instrument, you can start it quietly and then bow it or blow it louder. But with an acoustic guitar, the only thing you can't do is that, which annoys me.
But that leads us to plugging in, though, doesn't it? And that's like a huge part.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, if I think of the Jon Gomm sound, I think of it as a acoustic electric ambience, a mix of the two, right?
Yeah, I'm not an acoustic purist. I don't come from that world, and I find it a bit weird. So I don't. So there's one thing I hate in music or art or life, which is the paradigm. So what I mean by a paradigm is, what it means is the perfect example of something that lives in your head. So when Socrates paradigms, or Plato, when he was talking about paradigms, one of those really old
One of
Greek
those
guys,
dead chaps.
it was a philosophical idea, which was, what is a spoon? And they would say, well, a spoon is the perfect example of a spoon that lives in your head, and every spoon that you ever see comes up against that spoon. For some people, it might be really ornate, but for most people, it'd just be perfectly functional, a perfectly functional spoon, for whatever specific thing you need a spoon for right now. And that sounds silly, but if you talk to a chef, they'll probably have an exact spoon they love for an exact job, and this is where, with musicians and particularly guitarists, the example would be tone, and people have the perfect idea of the perfect tone. And to me, it's the death of expression and individuality, is having that idea.
What, of good or bad?
Think that
the aesthetic of this is good tone, this is bad tone.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
a good acoustic guitar, this is a bad acoustic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's no, it's like you get into terms like quality. Like quality. It's so popular now for people to talk about a quality sound and things having a tonal quality and like, as you're saying, being good or bad. And I just don't agree with that. And with acoustic guitar, it tends to be things being very, very sparkly and bright. And that's great. But I also want to hear loads of bass, and I want to hear loads of chunky, warm mid-range. So you can get that from the way you build a guitar, which is what I've tried to do with Ibanez. And then you can also get it electronically from adding pickups, which is what I've worked on with Fishman. And yeah, to me, it's really important to do that, because what I've always wanted to do is have a guitar which allows me to create my own voice, not to just, be some pristine object that you are handed and then it makes a perfect sound and all you have to do is play it. I don't like that idea.
Or sounding like something before, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what it is. You're not really, when you have those paradigms, they're not really yours. They're cultural and they're decided for you, and you've just agreed to it. That's not art.
It's really interesting, man, especially, again, like for acoustic guitar, because so many of those iconic acoustic recordings, if you like, are the guitar doesn't sound in that what we would term as a really good acoustic guitar sound. It might be slightly trashy or thin or, boxy or quite a lot of negative terms.
But then they become paradigms. It's bizarre. So you get guitars which are built deliberately to sound like that. So so in Nashville, when you kind of standard Nashville recording session, the acoustic guitar in a band context serves a purpose, which is to provide sparkly jangle as it's strummed, like an airy, sparkly jangle above what the piano or keys or the electric guitar or whatever is providing. And so then you get guitars that are built and pickup systems that are designed to just create that sound. And then people try and use them to play fingerstyle guitar where you actually are trying to be the only sound being heard. And it's a disaster, Chris, because there's nothing there for them. They can't use it. You know, it's nasty. It's like they're playing a guitar through a phone speaker the whole time or something.
But that's like, if you can, go on, make a noise on your guitar so listeners can actually sort of hear the fullness of it.
So I hope you can. I've not ever plugged this system into a live stream before, but so hopefully what I have is a whole load of what I call piano bass at the bottom. So that's my kind of grand piano bass that I try to aim for. And then I do want the sparkly top as well, but then hopefully there's plenty of almost nylon stringy kind of warm mid-range for melodies. And then also I've got to be able to pick up all of this stuff. And that's without any effects. And as soon as I add the effects, like the reverbs and stuff, it'll get fairly... I mean, that's a big one. Yeah. I can go way bigger than that.
And are you... John,
that's a lot of reverb.
More. Don't apologise for your reverb, man. Do you practice plugged in? Because that's obviously, you know, the life of the note and how you control that is dependent on what's coming out of the speakers at the end of the day with that, isn't it?
Yeah, both. Okay. Both. So I practice unplugged and plugged in. And I do... Again, everything's really weirdly kind of like based on these philosophical, almost kind of moral choices that I make, which is like... So one of the reasons I play unplugged is because when I play acoustic rather, is because when I was playing electric guitar more, I would get frustrated with the amplifier, like a ball and chain. And it was like the sound was coming from somewhere else and I needed it to be able to make a noise. And it felt really limiting. And it sounds stupid because every time I play a concert or record, I'm relying on electronics to capture the sound. But I just want to be able to go into a room or just go into a space where there's other people or just on my own and just make a noise and do my thing and make my sound and express myself the way a trumpeter or a violinist can without having to worry about being plugged into a load of stuff. So even though I use loads of effects and loads of pickups, I don't write songs that rely on them. And I don't write songs using them. I'm always unplugged when I write songs. I don't want to write a song that relies on an echo or I don't loop. I know, but I'm not I love listening to looping and watching looping done. It's really exciting and awesome, but I hate doing it. And this is why. So I never write songs that rely on being amplified. I always need to be able to do it acoustically at an open mic night or to my mum in a room or in the woods alone to the squirrels, you know? So yeah, I practice both ways, yeah.
That's interesting, man. That's really, really interesting. Okay, well, can we talk about your picking hand? Because I think that's, and through other conversations and my observations from playing and meeting other players and teaching, is that this is, you know, this picking hand is your voice. You know, that fretting hand doesn't really change things so much, but
it's not like that for me because so much I don't pick. So
your fret hand is actually your voice, or equally?
They're just
equally,
together. It's just together equally. Yeah, equally. So many of my notes are not plugged. I can play. So I have a piece called "The Ghost Inside You," which is it's an instrumental, and the melody is very simple on the guitar, but very strong. And I don't pluck most of it. Most of it is tapped with my left hand because my right hand's busy doing something else.
Okay.
And Yeah. So yeah, I don't do that, and I don't. It's weird for me to think of myself as a fingerstyle
That's so interesting.
guitar player because I pluck so little.
So how much percentage-wise is landing on your foot?
I've got no idea, but I.
What are the stats,
trying to
John?
avoid it.
What are the?
I don't know. Somebody would have to work that out. Have to feed my tab into ChatGPT and have a look. But if I'm doing, I don't know. Try it. So I'll be plucking some stuff. There, I'm tapping some notes. I'm plucking others, but I'm plucking them over here. And sometimes I'm just tapping everything like. And now I'm plucking it with my right hand, but behind my left hand. Now it's tapped. Now it's tapping and plucking. So one thing that's really important to me is to have as many different textures inside the music as I can get. So I want some notes to be tapped, some to be plucked, some to be harmonics. So, and I'll talk about if I'm teaching somebody how to play something and there's a lot of left-hand tapping or any kind of tapping, I'll say to them, okay, you have to be careful here because you don't want your guitar to sound like a MIDI guitar. Mm-hmm. You know when you've got a tab file in Guitar Pro or whatever and you play it back in Guitar Pro and it has that MIDI guitar sound, you got to be really careful to avoid that, especially if you're doing loads of tapping, because the notes are less expressive. So I'll try and include slides and vibrato.
What, to sort of disguise that character. Sort of thin sound?
Yeah, not always. I quite like that attack. I like that attack, but just but just to bring variation as much as anything and texture. Like,
what about
music
that?
Definitely has texture, So
behind the nut thing, that extra resonance.
I just don't care. I just don't care about it.
Okay, you see, so that's kind of part of the aesthetic, if you like. That's like,
but you can't hear it. Nobody has ever mentioned it to me except guitarists when they just started doing tapping. Okay. Sometimes it can be their guitar's not set up that well. Sometimes it can be because they're not playing loud enough, because the louder you play, the kind of note you're aiming for will get louder. So just to be clear what you're talking about.
Yeah. And if you can just, because obviously it's an audio thing too.
I play this note here, if I mute it, I can't because I've pressed the pedal. There we go. If I play this note, you can hear I'm aiming for this note, but I also get this note.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what. Sometimes people call it the back note. So it's just you're getting a note between your left-hand finger and the nut, which is not a nice note. It's not in tune. It's not anything. Yeah. It's not even a real note.
But that's been
guitar's meant to produce.
For those who can't see us, obviously. So that's because you're not striking, not plucking the note. You're
still get it if you're plucking the string. You still get it every time you press down on a fret. Assuming you do it reasonably quickly, you still get that. You just can't hear it because the plucked note will drown it out. But it's still there.
Well, as you put your finger down, you mean?
Every time you press down on a fret, assuming you do it reasonably quickly and don't do it very slowly, and then pluck the string, then you will get that. But it's you can't hear it once you're plugged in, and people just won't notice it. And what they're more likely to notice is things like string squeak, which can be really annoying. Not so much for guitarists who tend to tune it out and forget that it's happening, but more for audiences where somebody's playing perhaps really softly, and then every time the guitarist moves their left hand up and down the neck, you get that horrible screech, and you see the audience wince in pain at this sharp, horrible noise that the guitarist just has long since become oblivious to. But they never notice this back note business. It's only guitarists who notice that. And as soon as you plug in or just play loud or put a microphone in front of the guitar, or like I say, just play stridently and clearly and loud, you won't be able to hear it, because the better you play, the clearer and louder you play, the bigger the difference will be between how loud your actual note is, and that back note won't really get any louder. It can't really. So
you're using volume to sort of drown it out to some degree.
Yeah, most people play too quiet, when they strike a guitar. Some people do it on purpose. So Mike Dawes, you'll be familiar with, he plays super soft. He's got a really soft attack, and he just plays really quietly. But it's just because he's just so physically weak. No. Oh no! Well, he probably is. I don't know, but he's no. It's just I don't know. I think it's a stylistic thing, and it's a choice, and it's almost he uses it because sometimes he gets really loud, and it means that his playing is normally, whereas my playing might generally I'm aiming for like 6.5, 7 out of 10 for my kind of standard volume. That only gives me another 3 to go. Right? Before I'm max volume, whereas he might be trundling more around 5. So he's got way more headroom to get more dynamic, you know? So, yeah, he's no fool. So he knows what he's doing. Yeah, but then his guitar still sounds absolutely great. So,
okay. So, but is there any kind of... okay, so if I've been writing a style file for guitar techniques or something about a guitarist, there'll usually be like a system. Do you know what I mean? And where a sort of then this is really talking about picking hand again, which makes you different. But there's these sort of particular patterns that always come out. Travis picking is a fine example of playing on the beat with the thumb and the off beats being upstroke, so it translates between strumming and picking, for example, or some people using thumb and 2 fingers, but the thumb is always on the lower strings. But I'm interested by, bearing in mind you're talking about using both hands so in such a even way, is there any kind of like system there that you're using, or it's literally just a fluid?
I wish there was.
It sounds like you need a system.
No, there's no system at all. I wish there was, but unfortunately.
So your choice from tapping like on your in your fretting hand rather than playing it with your picking hand is not because of it's because it fell on that beat and you're sort of going on and off the beat. It's just
it's nothing like that. No, my playing is more constructed, and I don't just have like a natural approach. But I certainly did learn Travis picking, and I remember noticing little differences, the kind of ways of making it modern that I noticed that people did. So I learned it when I was a kid. I had a book, Mark Hansen finger style. I can't remember what it's called now, but they made 2 classic book with CD on the cover things, and he's an amazing guitar player, but he would have so it's that kind of that's Travis picking, named after Mill Travis, as we know, and it's basically alternating bass between at least 2 notes or sometimes 3 notes, which I for some reason hate the sound of myself, but I'd like 2. But then I noticed that modern guitarists, I don't know what I mean by that exactly, but more guys that had a sound that I liked more, I guess. So I noticed first, I think Nick Drake doing it. He would often leave out the 3rd note. So instead of this, he would have this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on 3, there's no bass note. So then when you play with your fingers as well, instead of this, you now have this. So it's less it's less rhythmically kind of like a march or something, and it's less driving and more floaty and ethereal just by dropping out that 1 note. And I noticed people doing that, so I tended to adopt that if I was ever using that. And I do have a couple of songs that do have those kind of what I call alternating bass.
I was going to say, because that's still, if you like, the system of, even though you're not playing that 3rd down, was it? So you were going like 1, 2, 4, 1, 2.
So your bass notes would be the root note, and then your higher note, and then nothing, and then your higher note again.
So like
So I can't hear if that's correct or not.
just pretend it is. But if that.
Yeah, I think so. It's like so you're playing on the fifth and fourth strings with your thumb there, right? So you'd be playing 5 4 4 5 4 4 5 4
Oh, yeah.
4, and that'd be a bass line.
Yeah.
And then the fingers can do anything that you like, really, either on the beat or in between beats.
But that system, that sort of, you're still almost doing that downstroke motion, aren't you? So you've got that even sort of ebb and flow, if you like, of down and up pulsing all the time, even though you're sort of missing that out. So do you find in your picking those little moments where Jon Gomm is being a little bit more normal when you're do you sort of slip into that sort of metronomic or pendulum?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, I try to get the kind of metronome going all the time in everything that I'm playing, but it just tends to not be patterns like that. And whenever I write stuff, I don't write by finding a chord and then picking it with a pattern. I never do that. Okay, so that really. Or almost
that's huge. That's hugely different, isn't it? Because that's fingerstyle so much of the of the American sort of American primitive and country and folk, that's chordal and it's patterns, and that is something that
yes, some of it is. Are you under attack?
I am
there,
a little bit, but it's going to be okay.
Whoa. So well, quite often I do have other kinds of patterns. So maybe tapping patterns. For example.
Okay.
So one of the common tropes in kind of modern post Michael Hedges fingerstyle will be to have an ostinato in the left hand, which might be very simple or it might be very complicated, but usually when people do them, they're very simple. But so you might have just like an on-off. Okay, just hammer on some pull-offs. Let me find a reverb that's not quite so ridiculous. Okay, so there we go. So I might have a little on-off thing, and then people do all. So somebody might have like a left hand thing going, and then they're adding all other things around it, you know, and that left hand then going on off, which it might do differently to that. Hopefully, you can do anything with that. That's just the easiest one. Becomes like your thumb going up and down.
Just keep keeping that thing. Beat on.
It's more pianistic in terms of the way that you're finding a groove, not with an up down motion of your arm, but with on your finger on off kind of motion, or your finger moving between two places. And that's another kind of way that you can get that kind of pulse. But there's many. Often my pulses will be drums. So you can hear the reverb of my voice just on my guitar pickup there.
I like it. It accentuates the importance of what you're saying.
Thank you. I should insist on maybe those Tonewood amps. Can you fit them to your body?
I'm sure you can. They
maybe
look really
I can
good.
just strap it to myself and just walk my whole life. I'll just be in the pub having a drink, and everything I say has a reverb on it. Like, wow, this guy is like really wise. Whoa.
Instant wisdom.
But yeah, I'll often have a drum groove, which will be my my kind of up down thing. So I'm really into strumming patterns historically, and I like the way they work, and drum patterns as well. So I'll have like. So that's a little like a 3/4 strumming pattern. Just turn the reverb off. It sounds stupid with that. So I might have a little 1 2 3 1 2 and 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2, that kind of strumming pattern, just with downs and ups, and I'm playing all of them. but just accenting certain ones, and that's a typical kind of thing. But then over time, I've added like.
Okay, so within the same motion.
Or get more complicated, which can then break the motion, but there still becomes, if I'm doing this, it looks weird if you've never done it before, but that feels so natural to me.
And your wrist is still
motion.
going down and up.
Yeah, my arms rotating, my body's going. Like, I think getting stuck in just the up-down thing, because it's binary, it's just one thing, it can become a little bit simplistic, and it's things, a rhythmical limitation that other instruments, like drums, don't have. So, it's, I guess they have a left-right thing, but generally they do a lot of exercises to avoid that becoming dominant. So I would say that probably my patterns are different to just having fingerstyle patterns, but I do fingerstyle warm-ups every day. I'll play fingerstyle patterns, but they're pretty weird. Do you want to hear the weirdest thing about my right hand, Chris, when I'm doing fingerstyle? So I use my little finger.
Oh man, that's I feel like we should end it there, really. Let's talk about that. You're a sort of a rare breed, aren't you?
I don't do it well. It's really hard, but I do use it in songs. And when I'm warming up, in particular, I like to write really complicated little patterns. So I might play like a. Let me think. So that little pattern there, what I'm doing is I've got my fingers there planted on the strings 5 to 1, like one. I've got five fingers. Don't know about you, but fortunately, I've got 5. So I've got my thumb on the 5th string and then one finger per string.
Okay.
And you could just go up and down an arpeggio. I don't know what chord are you on there? C?
I'm just holding a little C.
So I can play something similar to a C, but I'm in a weird tuning. But I can get we could just go up and down like. So P-I-M-A-C-A-M-I, P-I-M-A-C. Do you know what C stands for the little finger?
No, go on, tell me too.
It's so lovely. It's Chico. Spanish for small. So I have pulgar, index, medio,
you know
annular,
what? That's
Chico.
Little Chico is actually it's not so weird.
It's
I mean,
right.
I'm awful at it, but wow. And
I'll do then is come up with a pattern to accentuate how awful that little change around is between your 3rd and 4th fingers. So I'll have like P-I-M-A-C-A-C-A-M-A-M-I. So it's a little triplet pattern. And that's really hard, but I think it really helps. And to be honest, even if you don't use that finger, if you use it when you're warming up your whole hand and everything's going to be easier because you don't have to use your effing little finger anymore. So I really
nice. So you
it.
push yourself to sort of the limit, and then everything feels comfortable after. So little finger, I mean, that's seriously cool, man. But is that something that you did early on, or is that like a later?
I don't. Probably a little bit. Probably a little bit later, but because I learned classical guitar, and obviously you never really use it in that. And flamenco guys use it, but usually not as part of kind of arpeggio patterns. But they certainly use it for a lot of stuff,
all the sort of
percussive noises,
out, right?
or strumming. But also it can be here anchoring, but also occasionally being used to strike the guitar. But I also do quite a lot of kind of 8-finger tapping stuff where I'm playing just with my right hand.
I see. So you're tapping.
So that is all, what I'm playing there is all just being played by tapping with my right hand fingers. Because I went through a phase of trying to be Stanley Jordan. If you're not aware, people aren't aware of Stanley Jordan. He's one of the greatest guitar players of all time, and he's primarily a jazz guitar player. But he plays with both hands on the neck, almost like as if it's a piano. He does play piano beautifully as well. In fact, I've seen him play Chopin with one hand on a guitar neck playing the left-hand part and his right hand on the piano playing the right-hand part. He's a savant, and he's also one of the loveliest men I've ever met, thankfully. I don't know why I say thankfully. It's just such a relief.
Well, it's nice when you think someone's awesome and then you meet them and they're like, you're a good guy.
Honestly, he was more awesome than I guess what I'm thankful for is actually having met him, because he's one of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life.
Great.
And I went through a few months, I guess 6 months or something, of thinking, right, this is it. This is the ultimate way that you can play the guitar. I'm going to learn to do it like this. And then after 6 months going, nah, it's impossible. And it is what he does is impossible. And it's kind of freak guitar, which is, I think, an awesome thing. I love guitar players who play in an absolutely freaky way, and make beautiful sounds. Not if they don't make good music, but it sucks in other ways because it's really easy for other guitar players to write that off.
What do you mean?
So a lot of times Stanley Jordan people would say, he sounds like two bad jazz guitar players. And he doesn't. He sounds like two really good jazz guitar players, but he doesn't really sound like two jazz guitar players. He sounds like something else. It's something different.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And I think we get that a lot. It's like, he's hitting his guitar. It's stupid.
For sure.
We get that as percussive guitar players, and I ignore it. And also, I fundamentally disagree with it. I'm not hitting my guitar to play drums or tapping on the guitar because I suck at writing songs and don't actually have anything to say. I can't fucking shut up, as you might have noticed. Quite the opposite. So, in my case, I'm doing it because I just think it makes a really nice sound, and I think it has value. And I think the guitar is a naturally fantastic percussion instrument, and once you start doing it, it's really hard to stop because it's such a shame to have this beautiful big wooden box that's so resonant and to not hit it. But it's a really easy thing where people get criticised or written off or ignored because they do something different and new. And Stanley Jordan is one of those. Sometimes people get lucky and they do something in a freaky way and everyone buys into it. But that's usually for other reasons. Like, I think if Eddie Van Halen had spent his whole career playing like guitars, tapping instrumental guitar solos, he would get written off more, but he was in a really popular, commercial hard rock band. So, I don't know.
John, I have a sort of a fairly unique entrance into the percussive guitar world because I remember... That's all right. Involuntary guitar noodling syndrome. I had that too. But I remember seeing the Andy McKee drifting video. A friend sent that to me. At the time, I was sort of noodling in sort of John Martin-esque styles.
Okay.
Just by listening and sort of percussively hitting the strings and that sort of stuff. And I remember having that the reaction that we're sort of criticising of saying,
"What? Oh, really?
Why is he hitting this?" No.
I've never heard anyone say that before. I assumed I was going to get the standard drifting story.
No. And
sometimes I get with one of my songs, but I hear it so much with drifting, where people say, "Oh yeah, I saw drifting. It changed everything. I wanted to play fingerstyle guitar." But you're actually saying,
"I did. I saw it, and I feel so bad for having this reaction because apart from the fact that I adore Andy McKee's music, and I think he appears to be an absolutely wonderful human being.
He's really nice, yeah. We're good mates, and he's a lovely guy, yeah.
But when I saw it, I had that sort of reaction. What's the point of that? And then now percussive acoustic guitar book, and 15, 20 years later, I've made it my day job. But I think at the time, it's that response of, I don't know, it's maybe that human, that's different. Why are they doing that? You're not allowed to do that. It's really strange coming from that perspective. So I kind of understand it, but now I feel incredibly frustrated when I see, comments on videos talking about, oh, he's just hitting his guitar. What's the point? But I completely agree with you. It's the most natural, it's the most musical, common sense thing in the world.
I mean, you've got kids. I'm sure the first time any of your kids ever had a go at the guitar, they just hit it.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes a great noise. It's
brilliant.
Totally.
And then, my daughter's having guitar lessons at school now, and she has to sit playing melodies with just a couple of fingers on each hand. But to be honest, she really enjoys that because that is in itself rewarding. And I think everybody should do that and learn to play guitar. If they've got access to kind of traditional knowledge and traditional learning, then use it. Just don't make it your thing to live by creatively. But you don't think you can have too much knowledge.
It comes down to that idea of something being wrong or right, doesn't it? Or being a good sound or a bad sound. And that's sort of, for me, I think as a younger person, it was maybe living in that realm of believing something was the correct way or the wrong way, or something was good or bad. And now it's like, anything's okay.
Yeah. And Andy McKee is a really good example. Because firstly, he doesn't do that much percussive guitar. He doesn't, I think he is quite percussive even in his regular fingerstyle stuff, but he doesn't do that much drumming, actually hitting the wood of the guitar. He doesn't have a pickup for that. He just has one pickup in his guitar. He doesn't even have a microphone inside his guitar, which is quite rare these days. He's incredibly, he doesn't like complication. He doesn't like to have that. He's literally just started bringing his own reverb to gigs and not just having the house just do the reverb for him. So he's one of the absolute most kind of simple guys when it comes to the tech stuff. But he also writes incredibly beautiful melodic music. And it's often sounds really simple, although it's often not. But it sounds like pop music a lot of the time, which is what he likes. He likes kind of AOR, kind of 80s Christopher Cross, Tears for Fears. He's done that great cover of their song, or he likes big melodies, and that's what he writes. So when I first saw Drifting, I didn't have any reaction like that because I already knew Andy before he had a YouTube viral video.
I see.
And I'd heard Drifting 7 years earlier,
Oh, wow.
So it was nothing unexpected to me. It was great to see a video of him. But when it went viral, really, really big, that was nuts. And that changed a lot for me as well, even just that happening to him.
For sure, man.
And he was the second, I guess, percussive or modern fingerstyle guitar player to have a big viral video like that. The first was Eric Mongrain.
Yeah. What, from the Jules Holland air tap kind of thing?
Well, yeah, although his video that went viral was from before he went on Jules Holland. That's why he went on Jules Holland. He had a viral video. I'd forgotten he went on Jules Holland.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was from a French-Canadian TV show, and I think he uploaded the video on his own channel, actually. I've not seen Eric or spoken to him for many years, but he's a really good guy, and we've done shows together in the past. But yeah, he had this tapping piece that went really viral, and then Andy's went viral like a year later or something. And it opened the doors, I think, for others of us to have that good fortune as well. So, yeah, I'm really so. What brought you around from this kind of initial reflexive rejection?
Personal growth. I do. I think genuinely personal growth. I think it's that moving from that, like, being at school and thinking in that way of, I thought only rock music was cool. What if it involved guitars or or that idea of what was good or bad. And I think, honestly, just growing up a bit and going, and that's cool, that's okay. And also, I suppose, because I was percussively playing the guitar and those things were sort of unfolding for me anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Playing more percussively and then seeing that, okay, well, this is a natural way. But I genuinely think just realizing that there's no rules to it. It's interesting though, isn't it? It's kind of I feel uncomfortable saying it in some ways because I think Andy McKee is so wonderful. So to sort of go, yeah, sorry, didn't like that at first, but I think it is. I think it's good to say because it's it's maybe seeing a bit of empathy for, because there is so much of it, man, and there's a lot about it with Instagram as well now, right? With the sort of hyper, incredible precision, especially like shred guitar to a new level of insanity, and then there's lots of negative comments below it.
I mean, it's odd because I'm super into like electric guitar shredding as well, as well as the acoustic stuff and stuff that I see. It is like the technical. I mean, I think it's strange the way things are with the fact that you can learn things online. It's incredible. It's so amazing. People can learn so much stuff. But I think that, I'm not saying this almost as a musician, really. I think it's something that people who are just music lovers would say too, is that what we crave as music fans and music lovers is to be like touched emotionally. I mean, and physically, but like music emotionally. We want to be moved, and we want to. That'll happen, and we also want to be excited. And that can happen because it's something new, but it doesn't have to be. Something that's kind of novel. But if we hear something which sounds really, really good and impressive, but isn't exciting or doesn't move you emotionally in any way, it doesn't have to be like it makes you question your own existence or fills you with, your eyes are welling up with tears. You can be moved emotionally to dance, just with joy or fun or just the groove of a tune. But I often find that a lot of stuff that people are making for short form videos doesn't give me any real emotional reaction, which sucks. I don't mind if the emotional reaction is disgust and horror. At least it's a reaction. But often it's nothing. I don't have that. I just have, this is really good, and the video is really good, and the production is really good. Everything sounds great, but it's just not reaching me, So,
but it's just that passing judgment thing, isn't it? And that's like that original reaction to the drifting video, or talking about seeing Instagram videos now that maybe you don't feel anything from. It's just like, well, that's just not for you. Crack on.
Absolutely, yeah. No, absolutely. And also it's part of an ecosystem where people are learning from each other. But yeah, like I said earlier, that you can't have too much knowledge, and you can't. But there's more to art than knowledge. You're using that knowledge to express something that existed before you had any knowledge. That's what you should be doing.
That's it. End of podcast, John.
That is it, though. I think that's all that matters. Like you learn all of this stuff so you can say the thing that you couldn't say before, but you still felt it. You still needed it. You still needed to say it and express it. But you can learn all of this stuff so you can do that, not just for its own sake, because there's no point to that. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you, Chris, is because I'm really into just looking for new music all the time, but because it's a guitar podcast, I wanted to ask you, like, what guitarists are out there right now that you really like,
that I really dig.
Yeah, so people who are maybe that you haven't heard about before the past couple of years or something that you really like.
Well, I guess I'm going to be predictable and say Julian Large or Larger, or how we say his last name. Do you know this guy?
Yeah.
Also, someone who I'm looking up on Instagram to get his name correct as we speak is the chap who makes the Bigfoot engineering overdrive pedals, Reese John Stubbs. He's cool, man. He's just I really into the sort of, I don't know, people approaching notes on the guitar with the ability to do it with pure clarity and simplicity sometimes. Do you know what I mean? There's this there's this thing of, and I guess Andy McKee does that sometimes as well, doesn't he? The melodic lines are just, it's not this sort of wavering up and down.
Okay.
Sometimes there's this beautiful consistency to it, which brings out a bit more contrast. I don't know. How about you?
Well, I did a tour last year with a woman called Josephine Alexandra from Indonesia.
Okay.
She has a background in playing classical guitar, but she plays steel string now. And she's known mostly online. I'm not really super online. So I don't really necessarily know, but she's known mostly on her TikTok, which is massively popular, on her Instagram, for doing covers. And we see that a lot. Fingerstyle guitar players playing interpretations of famous songs, and she does that a lot. And she's really great player. And what I found seeing her live was she was trying out loads of her new compositions and hoping her album's going to drop really soon because her writing is amazing. She writes bangers, Chris.
She writes bangers, okay.
Not exclusively, but when she wants to write a banger, like a kind of four to the floor kind of just solo acoustic guitar, but it sounds like it could be like a dance tune or a kind of that thing where you get that kind of rock dance crossover, which she's really into, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know what to think of to tell you what I mean. All I can think of is, oh no, I can't even remember the name of that. So, but anyway, stuff that's where it's kind of, rock vocals, rock guitar, but it's clearly aimed at a dance market as well.
Okay.
And she's really into that stuff as well as loads of other things. But when she writes a banger, it's a banger. There's massive riffs, massive melody, and yeah, she's truly tremendous. So everyone should check out Josephine Alexandra. And then what about people that, acoustic players who you think people haven't heard of, that maybe gone under the radar, even if they might have been around or might be dead,
Well, you mentioned Nick Drake earlier, man, and I'm always, he was a huge influence for me, but I'm always quite shocked by, not in a, what, you don't know who he is kind of way, but in a, a lot of people haven't discovered the beauty of his rhythmic picking.
That's the problem with the kind of online recycling of videos, is that you miss out on another kind of musical education, which is finding stuff by finding the cool radio station. So in this country, it would be Radio 6, where they still play Nick Drake, fairly often, actually. And going to the secondhand record shop or whatever, and it's a different kind of education. Or going to gigs, and when you start going to gigs that are in a particular small gigs, you meet people who tell you about stuff, whether you like it or not. They re-educate you. Even if you're the artist, even if you're the musician on the stage in the pub, they come up to you and say, have you heard this? And it's funny, I went to a gig last week, and all I wanted to do afterwards was say to Neil Cowley, jazz piano player.
Oh, yeah.
Never seen him before. And all I wanted to do was go up to him after the gig and say, are you into this guy? Are you into this person? Are you into this music?
Yeah.
But obviously I didn't, because he's 50-year-old man. He doesn't need me fucking telling him what he should be listening to. But I'm not telling him, I wouldn't want to be telling him who he should be listening to. It's like, I just want to, he might have heard of this stuff that I like that nobody else really knows about.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. So Nick Drake is somebody I think where music fans might know of him more than guitar players do these days, which sucks because he's a beautiful fingerstyle guitar player using loads of crazy tunings that he invented himself. I'm writing beautiful songs. Yeah. So, I always want to mention people that I know who I think have gone under the radar a little bit. So, one of my favorite acoustic guitar records ever is called Aria Mechanica by Sergio Altamora, who's from Bologna. I don't think he lives in Bologna anymore. Okay. I can't remember, but he's Italian. and it was on the Candy Rat label back in the day.
Wow, okay.
But he's never had that kind of super. He's an artist. He doesn't care about his viral videos in the least, and he doesn't really care about, guitar music in any kind of dweeby way so much. He just uses it as a vehicle for making art.
Beautiful.
He's a very artistic guy, and but that album is just stunning. I can't really put it into words. It's kind of definitely post Michael Hedges guitar wise, but he's on a different plane of his own, completely of his own, and it's completely unique. But the music is totally accessible and very, very beautiful. And he's great live. He does looping. He does quite a lot of looping. And I remember he has one tune, I think it's called something like Octopus, and it's got loads of percussion on the guitar, but it's quite weird. It's very, very cool and sounds awesome. But then he creates loops and gradually builds loops, but it's quite atmospheric as well. And then he's always buying weird little gadgets, like cheap gadgets from like the Italian £1 shop or dollar store or whatever that are mostly marketed for kids, I think. Yeah,
the Euro store.
So he had he brought to this gig. He brought among other little stupid little electronic gizmos. He just brought a little portable radio that he got that day, and he just tuned it randomly and then switched it on and put it into his guitar. So it was picked up by the microphone of his guitar and overlaid that on top of his loops, and just whatever happened. The time I did it, I saw him, was the first time he'd ever done it. He got football commentary.
Nice.
And then the next time I saw him, it was like the news. Mm-hmm. And it's just really, you feel like you're in a scene in a movie. Like it's a very transportative experience watching him play. So yes, Sergio Altamores, Altamura. If people want to check him out,
amazing.
Then do so. I don't think anybody would regret it. It's gorgeous stuff.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jon. I think that's I've stolen enough of your time. It's been a joy. Thank you.
You're really welcome. It's really, really good to see you again, Chris. And just before you go, like, how are you finding your new guitar now that you've signed it with Ibanez Guitars? How are you finding it?
What a joy, man! A real joy. There's sort of the sound port in the side, or the air.
Oh yeah.
Do you have this?
I think I've got one of those guitars. No, not in my guitar.
Okay.
I've never had one.
It's kind of. It's in some ways it's ruined other guitars for me because it's because everything is louder and bigger and more in your face. So then when I pick up something else, I'm like, what?
I always worry that I'm losing sound out of the front if I have a hole in the side.
I really don't think so, man.
Does it matter?
I really don't.
You don't think you are?
I don't think I am. But then, it's.
I don't have any evidence for that. It's just always been my reaction.
Yeah.
But they are. It is very alluring when you play.
Oh.
With a sound port, because you can just hear so much better than you normally can.
As a personal experience. But pickup wise, man, it's been a game changer as well.
Okay, so that pickup is the one where it's got a pickup kind of built into the. No, I can't see it. Has it got a tiny magnetic pickup built into the?
So no,
the fingerboard?
It's piezo and then contact pickups under the body, and then it's.
So no, I don't have one of those.
And then it is. Currently I've got the blend coming out by plugging a mono lead into this one, but I can then treat them differently in Jon Gomm inspired ways. However, in all honesty, I've actually started just plugging directly in. As I've got older, I think I've got slightly less, I don't know.
I think that's probably healthy. I get more complicated. I'm now running all my sound through a laptop all the time.
Yes,
but I'm always looking for more and more effects and things that I can do, and
more control over that, because you're the new Fisherman that is going into the new Ibanez model is 3 out. Is that correct?
Yeah. So in my signature model, it's 3 outputs. There's three elements to the pickup.
Wow, man.
And I like to have different EQ and compression settings for each pickup. Mm-hmm. And then, so when I'm doing that stuff with the crazy reverbs, like I did before, let's see, I had another crazy reverb here. Oh my God. So that's a different one. And what I've got there is loads of pitch shifted reverbs. I've got a delay that's got overdrive only on the delay, not on the guitar itself. So you get this kind of crunch.
Oh, lovely.
Afterwards. But all of that, pretty much, is only on this pickup, the magnetic pickup.
Okay.
And then when I hit the guitar, I think I have got some echo, but it's a different echo. And it's got reverb, but it's a different reverb to what's on the strings. So I can really change how each pickup sounds and what it's doing. And it's really, really fun. I even figured out something that I've wanted to do for years. I could do this with some kind of expression pedal, but I wanted to find a way of doing it. So some songs I use overdrive, but sometimes when I hit the pedal and switch on the overdrive, in some contexts that can be a bit jarring. So I have a setting where I can hit the pedal and gradually fade in the overdrive, and then fade out again.
Oh man, that's
so just beautiful. With one pedal and a lot of MIDI, I can do that. So that's really, really
yeah.
It take me hours and hours to figure out how to do that, or to build one reverb sound. And most people can't tell the difference between that reverb and another reverb, and I might only be using it for one section of one song. But I really, really love doing that.
But that's cool, man. And I think I said this to you in a comment when you released the Fishman thing and the original signature as well. It's that you're making that accessible to other people, which is, that can change without getting too overblown. That can change the course of music, essentially, because you're putting that ability into other people's hands, man. That's really cool.
It does. I mean, so one thing I forgot until recently was, our Ibanez stablemate, Marcin Marcin, I always say the name in their original accent and then in the original pronunciation, then repeat it in English. So Marcin, I asked him what pickups he was using, and so until he got his signature model, I completely forgot. I don't even remember what year it was, like 2016 or 17 or something. Fishman sent me some stuff, and I said, let's do a competition, I'll give it away. So I released a new video of an instrumental tune that's really, really, really hard to play of mine. I never play it live. Called The Secret of Learning to Fly is Forgetting to Hit the Ground. I just call it Orville for short, named after Orville the duck. But yeah, so anyway, it's really, really nightmare tune. And I released the video, and I said, okay, I'm doing a competition. You can win this entire pickup system, which was similar to what I have now, but Fishman hadn't created the power tap element yet. So I had the rare earth humbucker and microphone, and then these two old double bass pickups, which are contact pickups, which were really great for getting a kick drum sound.
Right.
But they were originally designed for double bass. In fact, they were the first pickups that Larry Fishman ever designed, because he was a double bass player. So anyway, yeah, I didn't want to do a thing where I was judging how good people are, because I have to do that in my job sometimes. I have to judge guitar competitions or whatever, and it's strange. So to make it more fun, I was just like, okay, the fastest person, the first person to learn this, if you can kind of play it, that's enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to play all of it. Just do your best. And just the first person to release a passable video of this wins. And Marcin won.
Amazing.
So Marcin entered that competition and won the pickup system. And that's what he was using for years. And now he uses basically that still in his signature model guitar, but without the double bass pickups.
Wow.
So yeah.
But that's an example.
Alex Misko, another great guitar player from Russia, he came second in that competition.
Really?
By like about 4 hours.
How
and they
amazing.
both learnt it perfectly. Probably better than I can play it. Just really fast. It blew my mind. So
that's incredible, man. That's evidence of that bringing this to these ideas to mass market. How mass that is, I don't know, but affordable, and you can go into a shop in other, all countries and lift a guitar off the shelf that has a pickup system in it as standard that is going to bring out your percussive sounds. It's like, that can kind of change. That can change music, really, can't it?
It can, but they can do other things too as well. So maybe somebody will pick it up off the shelf and think, "Oh, this can do this." Something that I've never thought of.
Yeah.
And the scope for that is enormous, because it can basically this pickup system can do anything you do to a guitar. It can then hear and reproduce, and kind of also exaggerate as well if you want. You can make it more. So my kick drum, when I'm plugged in live, sounds absolutely massive, subby.
I've heard it. It's like a slap in the face, but one that I wanted.
It's really big. Way more than
Thanks,
you can
John.
get out of.
Do it again.
Way more than you can just get out of the guitar. So it's maybe they'll do something different that I've never thought of. So who knows?
That's exciting, isn't it? It is. Yeah. It's really, really cool. Amazing. Thank you, John.
You're really welcome, Chris. It's really good to see you. It's been a while, and it's really, really good to see you in your caravan.
I just reveal that at the end. Chris is in a caravan.
We can edit it.
Amazing, mate.
Thank you so much to Ibanez UK for making this podcast conversation a reality and helping inspiration reach guitarists all around the world.